welcome to On Deck with DeRo and Arch, Thanksgiving version. Coach Archer and I are actually filming this on Thanksgiving Day. So, first and foremost, happy Thanksgiving, Darren.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And I think we've got both a lot to be thankful for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just a lot of things in place in our lives that I don't know, probably neither one of us deserve, but they're there anyway. So, yeah,
Exactly.
we could not be more thankful for the situation that I have, and I know you feel the same on your end. So. Let's get started on some sports items here. Going to start with Missouri State Bears football program. They lost a tough one to Kennesaw State over the weekend. I did not get to see any of it, or didn't even see any clips to speak of, but it sounded like the kind of game that we would all want. We just come up. The Bears came up a little bit on the short end of that, but it sounded like a tremendous game and a great representation for the Conference USA.
Absolutely. And you expect nothing less of a Ryan Beard coach team. And they are having a fantastic season to this point. And I believe they finish out with Louisiana Tech
That is correct.
this coming weekend. And with that, if they can get a win, I still think, we talked last week about obviously in their second year of the FBS, they are not bowl eligible, but have met the criteria to be included in that bowl talk. So I know there's been petitions sent to the NCAA to allow Missouri State to be in a bowl. I think it puts more pressure on the NCAA if they can go out and get a win this weekend. And, it just kind of adds fuel to the fire, so to speak, and kind of puts the ball in the NCAA's court. They're going to have a decision to make, and it's going to be interesting, especially if, this time of year, there will be teams that deny bowls to get out and start recruiting, start that transfer portal process and different things like that, kids holding out. So it will be interesting to see how this all plays out as bowls start to be announced here in the next week or two. Once the college football playoffs have been determined, it will be interesting to see if Missouri State's included in a bowl or not.
Yeah, and you mentioned those bowls being assigned here in just the next week, 10 days, 2 weeks. Like it is late in November, so this is sort of a late Thanksgiving in terms of the calendar. So those things are closer than I feel like they should be, and so that news will start to trickle really, really soon. So excited to see if the Bears, are offered a chance to play in a bowl. Obviously, they need to take care of business this week. It's kind of the old adage, just win, right? And just win and make people make decisions, kind of like March Madness in the spring. Just those teams just need to win and put the committee on notice. And I think that's kind of where the Bears are at. They just need to win this one on Saturday and put them under some pressure to either have to include MSU or deny them. So be fun to watch. You and I both hope that MSU can land somewhere and play a bowl game. I think it'd be great for not just their football program, but athletics across the board. And it would be a shot in the arm as they've started Conference USA play. So great things going on in Springfield. Good luck to the Bears this week as they try to cap off a really nice regular season. Missouri, University of Missouri Tigers football. They have Arkansas this week. We've talked about this before. Mizzou lost several games to ranked teams, SEC members this year, and probably didn't have the season that the fans were hopeful for, but nonetheless competed really well, and the success is in the air. I believe with Mizzou football. The university took another step forward in terms of their confidence in Coach Drink. So it looks like that they've committed to him, and he seems fired up and seems like he's going to stay at Mizzou for a while. So trending upward, I would believe, at Mizzou football still.
Absolutely. And it was important to get Coach Drinkowitz tied up. for the next, or with the contract extension, because his name has been floated around with some of the major college openings right now. And depending on how the dominoes would fall, there's a potential that he could have been one of the leading candidates for one of those major openings. We're talking about Penn State, LSU, obviously this weekend with Lane Kiffin, and that's going to be must-see TV for anybody that's a college football fan to see how all that plays out. I mean, here's a guy that has led Mississippi State, I'm sorry, Ole Miss, my apologies, Ole Miss to their best season ever. Solidly, if they win the Egg Bowl this weekend, they may potentially could have a first-round bye in the playoffs, and Ole Miss may be in a position where they have to fire their football coach to be able to move on. So there's a lot of drama playing before the national playoffs are even determined. So, but those dominoes start to fall, and with the success that Missouri has had, Coach Drinkwitz's name's naturally going to fit into one of those slots, and he would be a candidate, a very strong candidate at that. So Mizzou did the smart thing. There's continuity in the program now as far as recruiting is concerned. There's not the question in recruits' minds: is he going to be there? Is he not? If he were to go to somewhere else, how many of his current players and recruits follow him to the next school? So, good move on Mizzou's part. I think it allows him to continue to build that program, and they're knocking on the door from being just right there. You figure out every loss they've had this year has come to a top 10 nationally ranked team at the time, and that's the position you want to be in, especially in the SEC, because in the future you can take a loss or two within conference against some of those major teams and still be a player in that college football playoff system. Good move by Mizzou, and now they're playing for money. They go out and win this weekend against Arkansas. Their money, or their bowl invitations, continue to rise, and basically they're paying for money, they're playing for money.
And this is going to sound a little, it's going to be hard to believe, but it appears, or the reports are, that his contract is 6 years, $60 million plus. Is kind of where he's at. And the reality of it is, based on the buyouts we've been hearing, that's still a relative bargain within the landscape, right? And that sounds strange to hear that six years, $60 million is a bargain, but based on Brian Kelly's $54 million buyout at LSU and so on, that sounds like a relative bargain to you and
Absolutely.
I.
Absolutely.
Great strategic move on the part of University of Missouri to get him locked into a contract that, by all accounts, is affordable. And you bought his loyalty in return for that, or he's not going to go anywhere else, it appears. So good move by Mizzou. I think it's a great situation for Coach Drink, and now they can kind of put that topic to bed, and they can just go work on becoming that next tier in terms of being able to compete in the SEC and national. So congrats to all parties there. I think it's a great move on both sides. Talking some more football rankings, Ohio State is 1, Indiana's 2, Texas A&M is 3. No change in those. You and I were talking off air, some intriguing matchups for 2 out of those 3 this week. Ohio State plays Michigan, and I believe you told me that game was in Michigan this weekend.
That's correct. It's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And interesting fact, the series total is 62, 52, and 7, with Ohio State having the edge in that. But Michigan has won the last 4 meetings against Ohio State. And obviously, when Jim Harbaugh was coaching there, went on to win the national championship. So Ohio State has a a team that is a national championship type team. You just you can throw everything out the window though when Michigan and Ohio State get together, and Michigan's no slouch. They're fighting for their opportunity. Number one, to get to the Big Ten playoffs or championship game, and to get into the college football playoffs as a national contender.
Right. And, in a weekend where it's kind of designated as rivalry weekend in terms of Mizzou's playing Arkansas and Ohio State, Michigan, and I believe maybe this is the Georgia Tech weekend.
Correct.
Maybe.
Correct.
So this weekend has a lot of those rivalry type situations, but there may not be a more bitter rivalry than Ohio State, Michigan, and we're not even from that area, but that's a big one.
That is a huge one, and probably the granddaddy of them all, as far as you have Alabama, Auburn. It just doesn't have the same feel to it this year as what it has in the past. Indiana, Purdue,
right?
Texas A&M could be a good one.
Yes,
both teams very, very highly touted this year. So be some great. If you're a football fan, my goodness, I mean, it's like a smorgasbord of great football games for the next couple of weeks. And when this weekend's dust settles and championships throughout the conferences start to take place, and a lot of good football the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's sort of the equivalent of Thanksgiving dinner. If we're just trying to stay current here, it's just a little bit of everything in terms of what you can see this weekend. You did mention Texas A&M and their matchup with Texas. I think that's a really good one. I think Texas is on the up. Had some hard times early, and a lot of people question them. And if you're a Texas hater, you were hating on them inside the program or inside the Texas fan base. There was questions and some grumbling and those kinds of things. But by all accounts, they've seemed to have righted the ship a little bit. That Texas A&M game could be a good one. Looking forward to see how that plays out. Back to Ohio State and Indiana. If both of those were to win, that would set up the Big Ten championship game between those two schools. So Ohio State versus Indiana on Saturday, December 6th. So that would definitely be must-see TV as well, to borrow your line from earlier. So college football, it's ramped up, and there'll be a lot of things that'll be much clearer after this weekend. So exciting to watch. I did want to take a second to mention our Division II in-state schools that we highlighted last week. Truman State and Northwest Missouri State both reached the Division II playoffs, and both of them come up a little short last weekend in their opening round game, but we did want to reach out and say congratulations to those programs and those universities and their fans therein. Good job on representing the state of Missouri in Division II football. So with that, I'm going to wrap us up here for our first segment and take us to break. When we come back, we'll talk NFL. We've got Hold'em Fold'em segment coming up, and I tried to outdo myself in the holiday spirit. So Darren, get ready for some tough ones there. I've tried to just try to make it a little tougher on you this time. So with that being said, I'll let Darren take a break here and regroup and take a listen to these messages from our sponsors, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
Leaders know there's no guide to greatness. When everyone else says something can't be done, they know it only hasn't been done yet. True leaders weather the fiercest storms and look deep within themselves to rise above and help others find their way forward. At Great Southern Bank, we're proud to partner with visionaries that help raise the tide for all of us. And when you're ready to bring your vision to life, we'll be right behind you with award-winning support.
There's a reason Chevy is called the heartbeat of America. The heartbeat's strong, steady, unwavering, like the people who keep this country moving. doing what they do best. Helping neighbors, pitching in, getting it done. For them, only America's most dependable truck will do. And every Chevy truck, like every Chevy driver, dependability comes standard.
Things are a little tight for Terrence right now. But they won't be for long, because Central Bank makes it easier for customers like Terrence to dream bigger.
More room would be nice.
With mortgage solutions that can open the door to more space
That's what I'm talking about.
for his growing family.
Growing family?
Honey, guess what?
You got this, buddy.
And welcome back to On Deck with DeRo and Arch. This is segment 2 of our Thanksgiving Day special show. So thanks for joining us. I'm gonna lead off this segment with sort of the stat of the day. I try to come up with something every week that's kind of, I don't know, it's interesting to me. Whether it's interesting to anybody else or not, I don't know. But I think this one's really good. It speaks to the legacy of this particular player. Darren, we're going to pretend that you're 22 years old. Okay. And that's been a while.
Pretending.
For sure. And you are just entering the major leagues.
That's
Okay?
pretending.
We're still pretending. If you were to average, and let me preface this with, major league seasons are 162 games long. Okay. If you were to average one hit per game, okay, for the next 26 years of your life, so until you were 48 years old, you would still be 44 hits shy of what Pete Rose had over the course of his career.
Wow.
I'm going to say that again. Average a hit a season for 26 years. You
Hit
would
a
still
game.
One hit per
One
game
hit per game per season.
per season. You would
And still be 44 short.
Yeah. You and I mention unbreakable records on the air often. Man, I don't see it. I just do not see anybody hitting like that over that duration that ever catches that record. You and I'm a Reds fan, and you have some Reds blood in your background in terms of your family, and when you were young, you attended some games there at Riverfront. So you and I both have unbelievable respect for the kind of player that Pete Rose was. But when you put it in that context, unbelievable stat.
Well, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to probably tick off a couple of baseball purists, but put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Come on. My goodness. Right. I mean, it's time.
Yeah.
You know, it just is that. And you're right. That record in this day and age will never be broken, because there's too many baseball front offices that are looking for the next hottest young thing that can last 15 years, you know, within their baseball program. And the life of a baseball player, life expectancy of a baseball player in the league has dramatically dropped from those days. So yeah, that's a record that won't be touched.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. The shelf life for even the top tier guys, just, top 10 guys or whatever, that shelf life rarely exceeds 15 years anymore. I mean, you rarely have guys 37, 38, still doing it at a high clip. So that part of it's changed a lot. So yes, just the flow of the game, the way it plays out now, lends itself to that record not being broken. But ability wise, he was a hitting machine. So the combination of those his skills as a hitter and then his longevity, I think that puts that as a record that is virtually untouchable. So I just had to get my Pete Rose fan stat in there. And you're right, put him in the Hall of Fame. and we're not going to get into this conversation, but you know, there are a lot of players that have done a lot of egregious things outside of gambling, just like in life, right? And
Exactly.
some of those guys are in the Hall of Fame based on the kind of baseball player they were, and they sort of set their life habits on the shelf. So I think it's time to do the same thing for Pete Rose. Just two guys' opinion, right?
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, yeah. Darren, I'm going to switch this order up on you. I was going to talk about NFL last before we went to Hold'em Fold'em, but I'm gonna go NFL first, and then we'll come and we'll finish the show with Hold'em Fold'em. Kansas City Indianapolis game last week was a fantastic NFL game. Chiefs showed a little bit of what we're used to seeing from them. Did that game to you say more about Kansas City or more about Indianapolis?
Honestly, I think more about both of them.
Yeah.
To be honest, Kansas City is in a must-win game against a very good, formidable opponent, and basically playing for their playoff lives, and we're able to get the job done. So, yeah, I mean, that was a good step forward for Kansas City. I think it was also a good game for Indianapolis from the standpoint of you're playing a team that's playing for their playoff lives at home and have them on the ropes for a majority of the game, and it comes down to a field goal. So, I think yes on both. I really think both teams proved last weekend that they are playoff caliber teams, and that could be a heck of a matchup in the first or second week of the NFL playoffs. Coming up after Christmas.
Yeah. And the reality of it is, if Indianapolis, their offense stalled out on their last 5 possessions, if they put together one drive there, even if it's not a scoring drive, if they if they get a drive there the last 6 or 7 minutes, like we're having a different conversation about the Chiefs this week, for sure, and we're having the other conversation about Indianapolis. So that just tells you how close Indianapolis was to beating the Chiefs and sort of solidifying who they are. I'm with you. Although they lost, I came away from that game convinced about Indianapolis's possibilities in the playoffs. So good game for both teams. I think you're spot on there. New England Patriots, I've mentioned them over the last couple of weeks. They are 10-2, and they are the only NFL team with double-digit wins on the year so far. We mentioned this last week. Did not see that coming.
No, not at all. But it doesn't surprise me. They've kind of taken on the persona of their coach. And,
right.
They are good on both sides of the football. And that's going to be a dangerous combination when it comes to playoff time. And if they happen to be the number 1 seed, playing in Gillette Stadium, in the middle of winter, that's not a easy task. There's no telling what kind of weather you would get there. The people in Boston are craving for a deep playoff run by the Patriots.
Yeah. You mentioned their balance, that they're good on both sides of the ball. They have given up the second fewest points in the AFC. 226 points is what they've given up. Interestingly enough, the team that's given up the fewest points is the Houston Texans at 182, I believe. Now the Texans have played one less game than the Patriots, but still, their numbers would still put them at the top of fewest points allowed. The Texans and the Chiefs have a date on December the 7th, I believe. It'll be the weekend after this one. So be a tough one for the Chiefs. We kind of, as much as we're surprised by this, the Chiefs do have a little bit of an issue scoring consistently. So you throw out the Texans defense out there, and that might be a tough one for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I noticed with the offensive play calling last week with Kansas City is that they ran the ball a lot more and ate some of the clock up and put together sustained drives. And I think that's got to be their MO moving forward. The days of Kansas City, the first 1 to 50 wins, them just going out and outscoring people, I think are over. Hopefully that trend can continue as far as play calling is concerned if you're a Chiefs fan. And I think if it does, and as stout as this defense has shown it can be, that may be the magic formula moving forward.
Yeah, the days of Kansas City sort of having a gunslinger type offense, like that doesn't work for them right now. They need to stay with sort of the ball control mentality that they had last week and rely on their defense and hand it to Kareem Hunt or whoever lines up behind Mahomes there. But yeah, just a different Kansas City team. I don't know if the coaching staff was sort of slow to get to that, or if the players didn't buy in or what, but there seemed to be a little disconnect maybe early in the year. And that's coming from some guy who's sitting in his living room watching it on a big screen. But it just didn't seem like coaches and players were in rhythm with who they were offensively. I thought last week was a really good step towards finding out who they were.
Agreed. Must win. They got the job done, and they're living week by week right now. And this afternoon they play Dallas. And I read something today earlier this morning that said that this may be the most watched football game in the history of the NFL.
Wow.
Dallas and Kansas City. This may be the most viewed football game on network television ever.
Is that regular season or does that include Super Bowls?
I think it's regular season.
Regular season, yeah.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
crazy. That is crazy, though. You mentioned this Thanksgiving game. The lineup includes and the Packers and the Lions. That game is being played as we record the show. Mm-hmm. And then Kansas City and the Cowboys will play a little later this afternoon. And then this evening, the Bengals and the Ravens will play in what has become the comeback story of the NFL and the Baltimore Ravens. They are finally getting healthy, and they are just putting together win after win now. So I'm going to ask you some questions about the Ravens here in just a bit. So let's stay on topic with them. Looking at it from a Kansas City Chiefs fan, which we are, I'm going to list 5 teams, AFC teams, and I'm going to have you rank them from who you view as the least threat to Kansas City in their progression in a playoff to who you would view as the most formidable threat. Okay, so Chiefs football, going to list 5 teams for you. Darren's going to rank them from who he fears the least to who he fears the most. Okay, so I'm going to give you the teams, Darren. I'll give you a little think time here.
Okay.
Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, Indianapolis Colts, Denver Broncos, New England Patriots. Very quickly, Ravens, Bills, Colts, Broncos, Patriots.
And so you want me to rank those from who I would fear least to the most?
Yes.
Correct?
Let's start with the one you fear the least and work.
Okay, I'm gonna. Gosh, that's tough. I'm going to say fear the least in the current state of the NFL. I would say Buffalo Bills.
Interesting.
I think they're too hit or miss right now, and their defense is too suspect.
Wow.
I know that Buffalo beat Kansas City earlier in the year, but Kansas City has righted the ship a lot more than what Buffalo has, especially with their where their defense is concerned. And when you get into playoffs, defenses are going to win games, and I just like where Kansas City's defense is right now a lot more than where I do Buffalo Bills. Now, obviously, you get the wild card with Josh Allen.
Right.
And, but that's got to be the asterisk in that. But I would take, honestly, right now as things are, Buffalo Bills last. Next,
Okay.
probably Denver Broncos.
Okay.
Once again, probably for the opposite reason, their offense is struggling a little bit. And it seems like every weekend they win on a last second field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the times that I've watched them play,
Yeah.
it's they're winning on a last second field goal sometimes. So
And eventually that gets you, right? I mean, eventually
it's going to
that
catch
gets you.
up with you.
Yeah.
Correct. It's going to
Yeah.
catch up with you. And middle of that pack, I'd probably say Indianapolis.
Okay.
Kansas City's already proven it. They can beat Indianapolis. I think that if the game were to be played at Kansas City, I would really like their chances come playoff time. Temperature's going to be colder.
Right.
Indianapolis is a dome team. And I would say vice versa as well. If the game is in Indianapolis, I kind of like Indianapolis's chances. So that's kind of a 50-50 game for me, depending on who falls where. In second place, I'd have to go Baltimore. They're the hottest team in football right now. And if they can continue that, they're getting healthy, and they're kind of getting things put together. That's a team you don't want to face right now.
Agree.
I'm telling you, they're getting their sails in the wind and sailing right now. And then obviously at the top, it'd be the New England Patriots, just simply from the standpoint that they've sustained throughout the course of this season. I believe they're 10-2. And they look like a 10-2 team. They're not backing into wins, and they're probably going to end up with home field advantage throughout the playoffs. If things were to end today, and like I said, Gillette Stadium's a tough place to play come January. So that would be my order. What about you?
I think I agree with you in terms of. Let me start here. I don't know. I'm like you. I don't know where the Bills fit. Broncos would probably be the team that would scare me the least.
Mhm.
I think Indianapolis would have to. I mean, they would have to do something that is extraordinary. Honestly, I think they're really good. It remains to be seen if they're going to be playoff good.
Right.
And position for position, like I think they're gonna match up on paper with everybody pretty well, but just some of those DNA things that Buffalo would have and Kansas City would have and Baltimore, I'm just not sure that Indianapolis is there. And hey, kudos to them if they are, because their roster is definitely there. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So I'm not sure that I'm there with Indianapolis on the whole.
Mhm.
The Ravens scare me to death.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think, and they're what they're doing right now, honestly, is really quiet. I mean, we're not hearing a lot about them. I mean, if you watch ESPN for 2 hours straight, eventually you're going to hear it. But just
Right.
just to the casual fan, nobody's talking Ravens, and they're just starting to stack some wins and get right. And they can run the ball, right? In the wintertime, you got to be able to run the ball, and they can do that. They got a guy, right? They got a guy that can run it. So Ravens really scare me, and I would probably put them at the top, interestingly enough. So
Yeah. I agree.
yeah, for sure. Just to touch on this before we move on to the next topic, who would have thought a year ago that we would be fearful of the Patriots? I mean,
Or the Colts.
You're the Colts. Yeah. I mean, it's just,
You
what a
can
turn
kind
of
of see,
events.
you can kind of see Denver coming
Right.
with
Yeah.
coaching change. Bo Nix has been very solid at quarterback. They've got good position players. Baltimore, you knew if they were
Right.
healthy, they'd be there. Bills has kind of been the
Yeah.
wild card to me. I mean, that's a roller coaster ride. But you're
Yeah.
right, Indianapolis, New England.
Didn't
No
see it
way.
coming.
I mean, they weren't even on my radar.
No, not at all. So, all those games or all those teams and watching the rest of the season play out for them is going to be really interesting. And Kansas City, assuming they can win, which I kind of feel like they'll hang in there and make the playoffs, but they're used to sort of controlling their destiny, and this year's a different deal. They're just going to have to play who they play.
Right.
So different situation for the Chiefs, but will definitely be a fun December as those things shake out. Going to close with our fan favorite Hold 'em or Fold 'em segment. In this segment, I give Coach Archer 3 or 4 situations, teams or players, and he has to choose if he's going to hold the situation or the premise, or if he's going to fold on the premise. So this week I tried to outdo myself in the Thanksgiving spirit. So I've got some good ones here. 3 of these are, I know in my gut that I'm setting you up for failure in terms of neither one of these options are good or bad. Neither one of these options are bad. And in fact, both options are really, really good. And you're in essence choosing the best. Okay. So here we go. In terms, I'm going to give you names of 2 coaches in this first one. Okay. Professional coaches. They represent different sports, but you're going to have to choose in their particular sport which one you would choose to lead your organization. Okay. And the sport is a football coach versus an NBA coach. Okay. Both of them are phenomenal coaches, and you're going to have to choose. You're going to have to hold one and fold the other as competing against each other. So the hold 'em, fold 'em, the first one is a Sean McVay-led NFL football program or an Eric Spoelstra NBA franchise.
Wow.
Of those 2, obviously both tremendous.
Yeah.
You personal preference. Which one do you hold and which one do you have to fold?
Gosh, I'm probably going to go with Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
And here's why I say that. Your roster can have 7 or 8 guys that are pretty good. You're good. You know what I mean?
Right.
But honestly, you look at how long he's lasted in the NBA at one place, in an age where if you make it year 3, you're a veteran coach in the NBA.
Yeah.
With a lot of different teams. So, and to me, he's done more with less, and is consistently in that NBA playoff or in the playoffs, and you can never bet against them if they're the 8th seed going into the playoffs, because he just seems to have that team rested, primed, and ready to get right at the right time. So I'd have to say Spoelstra, but my goodness, that'd be a great choice to have, wouldn't it? I mean,
for sure.
One or the other, you're good either way. What about you?
No knock on McVay. I'm a huge Spoelstra fan. And you already hit on the point that I was going to make. Outside of the era when he had LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, like since then, like that team has really been a one superstar type team, right? And that name's changed over the years, but you're right. He does more with less than I think any NBA coach does. And usually NBA coaches, to your point, that do more with less get fired. I mean,
that's because NBA coaches,
right? Because they're still not getting to the level, even with doing more with less, they're still not getting to that playoff level and competing in the playoffs every year. Spoelstra's tremendous, and I think there's a lot of guys that play there in that system that doesn't sort of translate, to another system or with another team with another coach. So, I'm with you. Both great choices. I'm going to lean Spoelstra on that one. The next one is college basketball. Both of these are college basketball coaches. This one came to my mind because these 2 matched up this past week. So NCAA Division I college basketball. Would you rather have leading your program Kelvin Sampson of University of Houston or Rick Barnes, Tennessee head coach? Of those two, both excellent choices. Your preference, which one do you hold? Which one do you have to fold?
I'm going to be a little selfish in this one. I'm going to say Rick Barnes.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. When I just like the way Rick Barnes coaches. I think, once again, he does more with less. Give both their kudos, but Rick Barnes has also got a clean NCAA record.
Yeah.
That to me says a lot for a man that can get through as long as he has. That means something. He's gone about it the right way. And you look at how he's revived that Tennessee program and made them, national contenders year in and year out. And it looks like he's done it again this year with beating Houston. So give me Rick Barnes.
Yeah. I'm the same. And here's the direction I'm going to go with it. He was at University of Texas for years, goes to Tennessee. Both of those schools at their core are football schools.
Sure. Very
right.
good point.
And he has made their basketball teams into like national powers, like mainstay in the conversation every year. At a place where basketball may not always be that important. And so again, no knock on Coach Sampson because he's had tremendous success and so on. But I like Rick Barnes for that. It appears that he'll take a job based on whether or not he fits and they fit him, rather than what's their tradition and what am I getting and what's their culture. Like, I think he just takes the job and goes in and builds it his way. So all kinds of respect for Coach Barnes. Got two more Hold'em Fold'ems. The next one is also a comparison game where both choices are good. Okay. This is NFL quarterbacks. Okay. And we're going to make it specific to from this point on in the season to the end of the playoffs this year. The two quarterbacks that you're going to have to hold one and fold one. Right now, Matthew Stafford or Lamar Jackson. Which one do you hold? Which one do you fold?
Can I hold both? I know that's not part of it, but my goodness, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Gosh, I'm going to say Stafford.
Okay.
He's been healthy all year, and he's had one of the best years of his career.
Yeah.
Now, am I dumping on Lamar? No, I'd take him in a heartbeat. I mean, that's 1.1 and 1.2 there. So, just the way things stand right now, I would have to say I would go with Stafford.
Well, and I would lean your way. I think this is the first year that I would probably do that if I'm just being really honest.
Right.
I think I've always had more faith, at this point in the season in Lamar Jackson and what his upside might be playoff wise. This year just feels like Stafford's got it a little bit. So again, both really, really good choices. Can't go wrong either way.
For me, the major factor is Lamar had that injury early in the year. And had he not, my answer probably is going to be just the opposite, to be honest.
And this sort of
can't go wrong either way.
Right. And this sort of references a point that we made earlier in terms of baseball players, but it's doubly so in football. I mean, these two guys' window as professional football players is closing. Both of those guys are farther along. Obviously, Stafford is we would, by all accounts, near the end. But both those guys are closer to the end than they're not. And so probably a little sense of urgency on both sides, I would guess. And not that they haven't played with that in the past, because they're professional athletes. And if you don't have urgency, you don't play. But I do think that both see their window closing. And so for that reason, I take them both. I'm like you.
Absolutely.
I think they're really good and see the end near, and probably going to get their best over the next couple of seasons from them. So, all right. So the last Hold'em and Fold'em is an interesting one. The guy I work for, superintendent I work for, is a huge Nebraska football fan. So, Dr. Baker, this is not a slam on your Cornhuskers. So please don't take that into consideration at evaluation time for me, if you would. The Hold'em Fold'em is, here's the premise: college football, Penn State Nittany Lions are college football's next Nebraska Cornhuskers. Let me explain that. For a couple of decades-ish, maybe more, Nebraska was the dominant football program. They got the best recruits. They had the best facilities. They won. The expectations were super high. They were going to contend for the top spot in the land. And somewhere along the way, that changed for Nebraska. Lots of variables there, but it just hasn't been the same. So my question for you, Hold'em or Fold'em, is Penn State, do you hold them to not be the next Nebraska, or are you going to fold them and think they're closer to being the next Nebraska than we like to admit?
I am Hold'em if they hire the right coach. I think this hire for them will be extremely important. They are to the point where they're looking for their next coach to push this program into the top 5, top 10 consistently, year in and year out. And I think if they make that right choice, the money's always going to be there. The tradition's always going to be there. I would say hold them. I mean, I don't think they will. And to be honest, I think if Nebraska can keep their current coaching staff in place and allow them and give them the means necessary NIL wise, I could see them jumping back in the mix of things as well. Honestly, they've got great leadership there. And I'd be holding on Penn State.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back to Nebraska. For me, and maybe this just goes back to the Big 8 days and my roots as a child, but I just feel like college football is better if Nebraska and Oklahoma are better. And that's just a personal thing in me, but I feel like if those two can be in the national conversation, then college football as a whole is just better.
Sure.
I think part of it is they're kind of that central part of the U.S., kind of that, sort of.
Yeah. Roll your sleeves up. Go to work,
blue collar. Yeah.
Take your lunch pail with you. And
Yeah.
And day's work. Right.
Yeah. I feel like, so even Wisconsin and Michigan State, Nebraska, Oklahoma,
sure.
If you can get some teams, some of those, I think it just makes college football better. Iowa, you can throw Iowa in that mix as well. So I always sort of root for those teams, just for that nostalgia probably feeling. But in terms of Penn State, I agree with you. It feels like a crossroads decision right now. It just does. And that doesn't mean, in my opinion, that it needs to be the best name out there, but it does have to be the right fit. Exactly. I think it's a huge crossroads. I think Nebraska would say they had the same crossroads, and they hired guys and staffs that they thought was going to make that work, and they believed in those people. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work. And so I think Penn State's right there. They've got to figure out who their next leader is and put together that staff and see if they can trend upward instead of downward at this point. So good stuff. Hold them, fold them for this week. I thought those were really great discussions. So thanks for your feedback on that.
Well, you're making this awfully tough on this guy. I'm gonna have to let my brain rest today.
well, you've got some turkey breasts that you're smoking, aren't you, right now as we speak?
Yes,
so
sir.
Maybe that'll make it all better.
It will. Turkey,
Yeah.
hey, smoked turkey makes everything better.
I love it. Well, viewers, thanks for joining us. It's been cool to do this actually on Thanksgiving Day. Huge NFL football games going on as we speak. The Chiefs kick off in about an hour and a half from now. So this time tomorrow, we'll know a lot more about the NFL. So great sports week, great time of the year. We did not hit very much on college basketball, but Darren and I were talking off air that there's going to be lots and lots of room and time for college basketball as that gets a little deeper into December. But certainly those college teams have kicked their season off already, and some really nice holiday tournaments are going on right now. So college basketball is right in the middle of all of it, and we'll sort of hit that in a little more detail down the road. So Darren, thanks for hanging out with me today. A happy Thanksgiving to you and your bunch.
Thank you. And we hope all of our viewers and listeners have a blessed Thanksgiving and enjoy the upcoming holiday season.
Absolutely. With that being said, I'm going to sign off for this week. Thanks for joining us. If you have any thoughts or comments or ideas for discussion, please contact us at the referenced places that you see on your screen there. We'd love to hear from you. With that being said, I'm going to sign off for this week. Thank you for joining On Deck with DeRo Arch. For Darren Archer, I am Eric DeRosset, and we will see you next week.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.